Hi, thank you for joining me for Inner Essence Activation, how to reconnect with your core, reclaim your energy, and thrive without burning out. I'm so excited that you're here, and we have a ton of great information that really isn't readily available to the neurodivergent community that we're going to talk about today. The first thing that I want to make sure is that you are in the right place. So if these things sound familiar, then you are in the right place. So you've built a successful life, but you feel like your mind, your body, your soul, your psyche, and especially your nervous system are paying the price for it. You may have wondered if you're neurodivergent. You may know if you're neurodivergent, and you've heard talk about unmasking and what it means, and you know that you probably need to do it, but you're scared that it will basically leave you unable to do the things that you want to do and will basically unravel everything that you've worked for. You feel like you're on the edge of burnout, but you don't want to settle for being numbed out and just getting by or having to disappear forever and go heal in a cave. You've tried therapy, you've tried coaching, you've tried mindset work, you've done all of the things, but you still don't feel connected to the inside. You crave clarity, connection, and an alignment that honors your unique wiring. You want something that's for you, that's for neurodivergence, designed by neurodivergence. So in the next 45 minutes, we are going to talk about why you feel disconnected, even if your life looks successful on paper. You got the job, you got the degree, you have the relationship, you have the family. And why most healing tools don't work for neurodivergent, sensitive, or deeply feeling nervous systems. And we're also going to talk about how traditional methods were designed for behavior modification and not really deep identity and neurologic level change, and how to create real transformation that is aligned with who and what you are deep inside starting today. And we're also going to go over the 5 steps that allow you to align with your truest self, your soul's purpose, and have an amazing, wonderful, rich, and fulfilling life by your standards and your definitions that's better than you can even possibly imagine right now. So we're going to talk about what it actually means to live as yourself without fear, without collapse, without diminishing and erasing who and what you really are. So my promise to you is by the end of this video, you will understand why traditional self-development tools haven't worked for your sensitive, brilliant, and neurodivergent mind, and how to finally build a life that feels like home, authentic, aligned, and sustainable. So does this sound familiar? You built a life that looks successful, whether it's career, relationships, responsibilities. Everything that you've been told is important, but you still feel like something is missing. There's a missing connection, and there's a richness and a vibrancy to your experience that's just not there. You may have done a lot of self-work, therapy, coaching, journaling, gratitude journaling, breath work, energy work, yoga, mindfulness, but it never lands where it needs to. It never gets you the results that you're looking for. And you keep showing up. You're tired of masking. You're tired of managing your symptoms. You're tired of holding it all together just to get through another day. And deep down, you know you're wired for something better, for more authenticity, for more ease, for more clarity, for a life filled with meaning, joy, passion, and purpose. So why have what you've tried, and I know you've tried stuff, you've probably done courses, you've read books, why hasn't what you've tried really worked? And one of the things that we have to really think about is most of psychology and most learning and most education are really aimed at the neurotypical. They're not aimed at people with neurodivergent, deeply sensitive, and deeply feeling nervous systems. So that in and of itself is problematic, because when you don't work with the underlying fundamental language of the nervous system, which is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic data, plus or minus smell and taste, and you don't work with the way the nervous system organizes things to make changes effectively, you're really just trying to condition an external behavior, and that may not be in your best interest, and it may not be something that's good for your nervous system. So these aren't things that can be done at really a conscious cognitive level. You can do all the gratitude journaling and positive reframing and positive thinking you want, but if you don't change the content of the nervous system and how the nervous system is wiring, you're not going to get different results. And connected with that is also being able to sense your soul and spirit and your energy. Mindset work is amazing. It's super important. But trying to do mindset work when you can't connect with and feel your core, the essence of what you are, is kind of like trying to plant seeds in cement. Yeah, a couple things will grow in the cracks, but they're not going to be as big and rich and fruitful as they could if you are planting in rich, fertile, luscious soil. Most of what's out there in the coaching and therapy world is really about things that are actually just going to help you mask better and maybe band-aids and duct tape to solutions, but not genuine root cause level solutions that actually make you feel whole. It's the big question. If you think about your life and you think about how you're feeling and what made you want to watch this seminar, what you wanted to get out of this piece of information, will you continue to feel disconnected, stuck, and unfulfilled if nothing changes in your life? And I have to say that most people are either spiraling up or they're spiraling down. They're getting better, they're getting more connected, they're getting more aligned, they're getting wired a little bit better, or they're getting less connected, they're getting more numbed out, they're getting less energy. The question that you have to ask yourself is, what do you want? Are you ready to choose yourself and get deeply aligned with your essence and what you are inside and allow that to shape your personality and your nervous system and your life? So I want you to imagine this. I want you to take a moment. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to take a big deep breath in and out. And I want you to visualize waking up excited and energized, knowing who and what you are and what you want, and that you're living a life that's in alignment with your true essence. And I want you to know that you're capable of making clear, confident decisions that reflect your true, unmasked self and your actual desires and wants. Imagine what it would be like being in the driver's seat of your nervous system, fully present, calm, and regulated, able to do the things that you want to do, the way you want to do them, and show up in life the way that you know you can deep down on the inside. And imagine feeling deeply connected to yourself at all levels, having relationships of deep, meaningful connection, and even feeling deeply connected to the universe. What would that look like for you? How amazing would that be? How happy would you be? How impactful would you be? What effect would you have on those around you? So I want to introduce myself. I am Dr. Craig Wells. I am an osteopathic physician, a hypnotist, a neurodivergent healer, energy worker, internal alchemist, some days even wizard. And what I fundamentally do at Connection Craft is I help high-performing, sensitive, queer, and neurodivergent individuals reconnect with the part of themselves that's already perfect. And I do that in a personal empowerment setting, like what we're talking about today, in a relationship setting and a parenting setting. I have decades of training in osteopathy and Taoist energetics, Kundalini practices, neurolinguistic programming, which is a particularly cool one, hypnosis, and also the lived experience as a late identified neurodivergent and queer person. So what we do is we actually guide clients through deep nervous system recalibration and deep soul alignment. So this is probably the most important thing out of this whole presentation that I really want you to absorb deeply into your neurons. And this is the big secrets as to why neurodivergent people struggle. So the first thing that I want to say is the world, the culture, the society that we live in is not natural, and it's not natural to neurodivergence. If we think about how people lived for most of their life, it would be primarily in a hunter-gatherer setup, where it's much lower stimulation, much more rest and leisure, and much more community and support, as well as more time for alone time. The wonderful alpha flickering waves of fires, and a lot of time to be quiet, to be still and observe. So the thing that we have to understand about neurodivergent nervous systems is they are designed for specific performance. They're sports cars, they're Lamborghinis, they're Ducati motorcycles. They are amazingly good at pattern recognition, at intuition, at all of these wonderful things. And we have all of these wonderful gifts that can emerge if our mind and our body and our nervous system are well maintained. And what I want you to think of and picture is to imagine you as a baby starting out, basically a big wild island. It's uncultivated. It's got a lot of natural resources that are occurring. It's got bananas, it's got coconuts, it's got some fresh water. And as we age through the process of complex microtraumas and conditioning and things that we really don't have a defense for when we're young, our island gets split into many different little pieces. And our buildings, our learnings, the things that we have, as well as our natural gifts and resources like the bananas and the coconuts, eventually they end up scattered, and it takes more and more effort to access them. And inherently, human beings have something called state-dependent learning. And this is actually much more of a problem for neurodivergent individuals because we have decreased neural pruning. That means we don't get rid of neural connections. And that's why we have so much more issues with the negative impacts of one-shot learning, i.e. traumas, is because we get a subdivision of our neural network. So our brain becomes less whole, it becomes more fragmented, kind of like when you learn a language and parts of your brain actually subdivide into the Spanish section and the English section or the French and Mandarin section. So that tendency to subdivide is heavily based on state context, is more prominent in neurodivergent individuals. And that means we can identify with and live in these little islands that are much less of our emotional range, that are much less of what we actually are. So the number one problem that we have is fragmentation of the nervous system into discrete neural networks, when there should actually be much more of a cohesive whole. And largely this is due to and driven by cultural conditioning, microtraumas, and the modern lifestyle that we have that doesn't allow the unification and reintegration. As a result of that, we also tend to be disconnected from our body and lose the ability to regulate our nervous system and end up chronically in hypersympathetic and overwhelmed states, to the point where really as a neurodivergent or deeply feeling individual, it's almost impossible to suss out what is the true neurodivergence and what is arising from conditioning and complex trauma. So in the following slides, we're actually going to talk about the steps that you take and that you need to be able to really live a full, happy, healthy, amazing, rich, and juicy, empowered life. So I've broken this process down into 5 main steps, and we're going to talk about and we'll discover what inner essence activation can do for you. And even if you don't choose inner essence activation, these steps, if you can figure out your own way to do them, would be deeply, deeply meaningful to you. So number 1 is you have to reconnect what was always yours. So those different islands of resources and the different parts of your brain, you actually have to bring together in a cohesive way. Really get rid of the fragmentation that was caused by survival adaptations. So this expands access to creativity, to focus, emotional depth. It makes self-regulation so much easier, and it builds the foundations for sustainable regulation and growth. And I'll talk a little more later about the exact method that we use within inner essence activation to do that. One thing in particular that inner essence activation does differently than many systems is it is almost entirely positive focus. So we work on building the resources that you have together and enhancing the positive energies, memories, attributes, emotions that are already present, and diffusing them through your entire system and concentrating and strengthening them at the same time. So step 2 is really important as you consolidate what was you into one cohesive whole. What is not you is much easier to identify. So different beliefs that were imprinted upon you, different values, different judgments, even different programs and strategies that run in your nervous system, you can actually identify and begin releasing, deleting, debugging, sometimes just adapting, so that they actually serve your purpose and that they actually do what you need them to do. And this frees up a ton of energy. So bringing the system together really concentrates a lot of energy. But getting rid of a lot of things that you're spending energy on that don't do you any good, that actually helps significantly with generating more energy, making your nervous system more efficient. So not only do you have more spoons, but you use less spoons on the day-to-day for different tasks. And if you combine that with another step, which is really about learning the skills of most efficient spoon use, then it really changes the amount of capacity that the system has. It also brings about a tremendous amount of internal clarity and a lot of relief in ways where we don't have to rehash and re-explore and talk about our feelings. If people could talk their way into happiness and enlightenment and a great life, then pretty much everybody would be enlightened and the world would be a utopia. So having the tools that you need to do these first two steps is absolutely critical. So once you've cleared away what is not you in inner essence activation, we actually do the first three steps fairly rapidly together with one main process and then some extra processes as they come up for the individual or for the group, that you reconnect with the part of you that is deeper than your neurology, deeper than your body, than your identity, that it's that ineffable truth at the center that can be felt, that can be experienced, that can be known, but can't really be verbalized. So being able to meet your whole self with curiosity, with compassion, while having different tools that allow you to explore your rich internal landscape so that you can know your preferences, that you can know your purpose, and allow these new emergent capacities that come from being a coherent state to blossom out into the world. And you can even move a lot from having to basically grind your gears and do a lot of things via effort, which takes a lot of spoons, to being able to just set up the system and align with what you are deep inside and actually run that, have a very aligned, easeful life where you're still getting a lot done and having a lot of impact. So step 4 is really an extension of the first 3 steps. And this is when you really tune into yourself and you think about what you need and want in your life and what you believe is the best way to be a person. And you actually start custom tailoring that. So you build your identity, your values, your beliefs, your patterns, and your programs to serve the behaviors that you want to serve, but also to honor and be the best version of yourself that comes from living in a direct experience of your inner essence, of your core self, of your true self. If we're getting a little Buddhist, your face before you had a face, of your deep inner nature. And being able to consciously mold how you express yourself in a fluid, flexible, and dynamic way, it really allows you to move into step 5. And what I will say is most contemporary sources don't believe that personality is flexible, that it's relatively fixed. I can absolutely tell you with 100% certainty that that is complete hogwash. There have been people studying it. The first people to really study it were some of the Russian scientists who were looking at performance. But the way it's typically taught is it's really a imposition of the personality on the deeper levels of self, trying to remold yourself, not a expression of your deep core essence and lining up all of the levels of your identity, values, beliefs, and capacities, which I think is a much better and much more elegant way to be. And it allows a nice balance of suiting who you are with what you need to be doing and finding your purpose and expressing yourself. So this is one thing that we do in inner essence activation that is really unique. And I've only ever seen hinted at in some Taoist systems. So step 5 is to live skillfully with more authenticity. So we've really custom designed who we are. And everyone has needs. Everyone needs people. Everyone needs relationships. Everyone needs to interact with the world more or less to some degree. So both for our own energy reserve to basically minimize interactions, cost, and in terms of like mental energy and spoon consumption, there are certain skills that I will kind of break down that really help with navigating the world. And the first one is awareness and sensory acuity. So when your nervous system is in a relaxed space and you know what to look for and you're skillfully observing reality and obtaining the information that you need to obtain, it makes it easier to be in dynamic connection with and apply the techniques and science of getting into a state of liking and coherence with another person. There's been a lot of different disciplines like the Heart Math Institute and hypnosis and NLP, as well as osteopathy and some more energetic disciplines that have looked at what it takes to be synchronized with another person, or to be synchronized with yourself, or to be synchronized with the environment. So if you take the awareness, the ability to deeply control your state and to be able to shift your state with intention, and the ability to recognize information coming from another person, you can create a dynamic where there is a very tailored communication between two individuals that is the best chance of creating win-wins and amazing communication. So there are secrets that you can know that will allow you to connect with pretty much anyone in any particular moment. And from that place of communication, when you can recognize your thought processes and patterns, and when you can recognize how someone else is cognating and how they're thinking and start to understand the model of their world, then you can tailor your communication so that it basically is most easily received by them. And you also know how you have to translate their information so that you can understand what that other person is really meaning. There's different language patterns, and there's an algorithm to actually how the language of this works that is really universally applicable in pretty much all human interaction. And it flows together with awareness and the ability to regulate yourself and to connect with other people, and really recognizing your own thought processes and patterns, and the thought processes, patterns, and worldview of someone else as much as we can. And then applying these really well thought out, well tested language skills. So that means when you put all of this together, that you can get the things that you want and need, and that you can make other people feel good. A lot of the trouble that we have as neurodivergent individuals comes from miscommunication. It comes from the inability to connect with people. People are largely motivated by feelings, and that's what we want, is more positive outcomes. So all of this is possible, this deep inner transformation and these amazing abilities to connect and move through the world in an elegant and skillful way. All of that is possible when you transform yourself with inner essence activation and you build the capacities of awareness and connection and communication. You can actually express who you are deep down inside and be truly seen. You can learn to grow without force and evolve without collapse and heal without rehashing, reliving, and re-traumatizing yourself, and have this amazing, wonderful, dynamic balance inside you. So we're going to take a minute in just a moment and watch a highlight video from a session that I did with Christie. So she felt very stuck and restless in her life. And after inner essence activation, she rediscovered herself. She felt more like herself than she had since she was a little child, and now has more clarity, energy, and joy. Hey everybody, we are here today with Christie, and we are going to go through our inner essence activation process and really help her get a deeper connection with herself and all the parts of herself, and really bring the best of herself out into the world. Are you ready to get started?
I am ready.
Okay. So just get comfortable, loosen up your body, take a big deep breath in, blow it out. And I want you to remember a time that you were deeply relaxed. Just think about that. Remember it in your body. So let that relaxation flow all throughout your mind, all throughout your body, all throughout your soul and spirit. With every breath you take and with every beat of your heart, getting more and more relaxed. Notice how it makes you start to feel buoyant. Yeah?
Yeah.
So we're just going to let that shift and change and fill up our energy channels and release what needs to be released. Notice how when we're watching the breathing and the energy coming in, that sweetness, that softness, that is our deep inner wisdom speaking to us. Your deep connection to your inner wisdom is like an old friend you can be silent and talk with. Scan that body. Feel that feeling. First impression, where is it?
Here.
It's here. Enjoy the process of this energy nurturing us. Feeling supported by our inner wisdom, supported by our egg, our fluid body, letting it feel like we're suspended. We create this internal gravity where we're always drawing more and more positive to us as we radiate more and more positively. Let's make this moment as amazing and wonderful and perfect as can be. Rewriting the feeling, writing your experience, reframing it, thinking about it from the perspective of your deep inner wisdom. As the clarity clears away all of the obscurations, all of the blockages, to radiating your true self out into the world, bringing a whole new you out into the world. Ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay. 1, a whole new you. Your deepest true essence radiating out into the world. 5, clear, heart clear, mind clear, soul and spirit radiant. Open your eyes.
Wow.
So what are your first words, first impressions about that process?
Mhm. I really feel more like connected to myself, to like who I used to be, that I feel like I lost a long time ago.
I think when we're young, especially when we're young kids, I think we naturally have these connections, but we put all these separators and dividers and
Blocks, yeah.
and blocks. And it takes some skillful navigation and some inner exploration to get all of that connected and activated.
Yeah.
Back up together.
Yeah.
So I know we've done some hypnotic work before, and I know you've talked to a therapist and some other things.
Mm-hmm.
So how was this process different than all of that?
Well, I feel like in therapy, I can, I guess, like realize like better coping skills, better like communication skills, can kind of work on myself that way.
Yeah.
But it's never been, I guess, as deep, even in the like years I've been in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So like with myself more so than like with the world around me, like definitely helps. Like this process help more, I would say, like within me than I thought I could ever feel. Yeah. And I could ever reach.
So, and it's some of the prior sort of meditative and hypnotic work that we had done was kind of more around kind of clearing blockages, and it was a lot more problem focused.
Yeah.
One of the deep inspirations for this process is actually osteopathic medicine, which is all about finding the health inside. And I wanted to develop a process for people so that they could actually do this, so that they could find the treasure and the wonderful nature that they have inside and get connected to it and let it radiate out into the world in a very authentic way. I think that one of the most important things for people's healing and self-development and just really enjoying life is actually getting deeply connected like this and living authentically as a human being.
Don't hold back that only good can come from like enhancing that connection within yourself, that there isn't anything to be afraid of.
I'm glad you're back. I do want to take a moment and really talk about what makes inner essence activation different from anything else. And number one is a resource first positive approach. We start working with and enhancing and integrating the things that are already amazing inside you. You may not know that there are amazing things inside you, but there are amazing things inside you. You just have to know how to look for them. And we focus not just on cognitive insight or behavioral outcomes, but actually working with our deep inner essence, reorganizing our nervous system around that, not just an idea of what you should be that's imposed upon you from the outside. So the other thing that's really important is mask-free access to your gifts. So because of the state-dependent learning, so much of our resources can be tied into the different masks and contexts that we wear and that we're in. So having the skills and strengths become accessible to you in any context is really, really, really amazing and wonderful. And most people, when they unmask, what they do is they actually just shift into a parasympathetic state. And because they've been in such a heavily sympathetic state for so long, they actually lose access to all of the cortical networks and their skills and abilities that would have been activated in the sympathetic state. And this does not have to happen. You can actually have access to all of these things if you have the right process and tools. You don't have to have skill regression. You don't have to have collapse in healing. You do need rest. And there is something to be said for honoring the pace that your nervous system can handle. But with the right strategies, you can really have the ability to keep living your life and holding to a reasonable schedule and pace. Now, the other thing is that this is a program that was designed by Neurodivergents for neurodivergents, and the source schools and techniques and trainings that I drew from all have a very heavy element of neurodivergent developers in them. And then the other thing that I think is really different is this is not a cognitive or a behavioral approach. We are doing things that change your body chemistry, that change your nervous system, that change your cortical pathways, that change everything about you at a fundamental deep level to line you up with what you are inside and get all the parts of you, including your personality, deeply connected with your essence. And that is something that you're just not going to find anywhere else. So I want you to walk through this exercise with me. And I want you to just ask yourself, do you imagine better with your eyes open or with your eyes closed? And whatever that is for you, leave them open or close them right now. And blow it out with a sigh, feeling a nice wave of wonderful, easeful relaxation. And whether you see things most easily in your mind's eye, or whether you can hear with that inner ear, or just get a sense of things and feelings in your body, I want your other than conscious mind and your deep inner wisdom to start showing you, either with a visualization of an island, or hearing different sounds at different distances, or feeling the separation of the parts of the nervous system and the body. I want you to feel how, see how, hear how fragmented you are right now. Notice that. Notice what it feels like. Notice if you get more than one sense. And just notice what information that you get from that, and go ahead and shake it off. And if the nervous system is particularly blocked, you may not get any information at all. But most people will get something. Even if you don't, that's completely okay. So go ahead and look around, open your eyes, because in just a moment, we're going to do the proto process, or the most powerful version of inner essence activation that I can do safely without directly monitoring and supervising it. So go ahead and either relax into yourself with your eyes open, or close your eyes now and go deep inside as you hear the sound of my voice. I want you to feel the sound of my voice reverberate deep inside, because not now, but in a moment, your deep inner wisdom and your other than conscious mind are going to give you a powerful positive feeling. And that powerful positive feeling has everything to do with giving you a taste of what your core essence is like and moving you into your core. So go ahead and scan your body all the way down. First impression, where is that powerful positive feeling? And notice where it is in your body, whether it's inside your body, outside your body, or a little bit of both. Notice its shape, its color, its texture, and let that color and any sound, if it's associated with it, begin to spread all throughout your mind, all throughout your body, all throughout your soul and spirit, filling up your fingertips and your toe tips, your calves, your thighs, your legs, your torso, your trunk, your arms, out the top of your head, fountaining out, down around you, filling up an egg shape around you. Enjoy that brilliant color and that wonderful feeling. And take a moment to savor it. And when you're completely saturated with it now, I want you to notice and scan your body the next powerful positive feeling that will bring you even closer to your core true essence. Scan your body now. First impression, put a hand on wherever it is and notice that brilliant color associated with the feeling. And begin to let it glow brighter and grow bigger and mix with that first color. Sometimes the colors change. Sometimes you can just tell that they're circulating and exchanging together. But allow that second color to fill you up from your toes, legs, trunk, torso, fingertips, arms, neck, mounting out in that egg shape around you, filling it up, completely saturating your being, your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit. And we're going to do one more. So scan your body one more time. Feel a powerful, positive feeling that has everything to do with really deeply embracing your core essence, your true self, as much as you can in this moment. And notice the color, the shape, the sounds, the textures in the body or outside the body associated with that feeling. And let those energies, those colors, those vibrations go all throughout your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit, filling up your toes, your calves, your thighs, your trunk, your chest, your arms, your legs, head and neck, fountaining out the top of the head around you. Luxuriate in the mixing of those three colors, energies, vibration. And as you begin to feel the shifts and change and all the different little parts of yourself being nurtured, coming back together, becoming all, I want you to invite in the map of that island and the different sounds and the different feelings in your body that let you know how fragmented you were. I want you to notice the changes and how everything has begun to come together, to gel together, become more whole and cohesive, those neural networks in your brain unifying. And just imagine what it would be like if this just kept getting better and better each and every single day. I hope you deeply enjoyed that exercise. So that was just a small experience, a small taste of what inner essence activation is, which is a deep process that reconnects you to your core and restores internal clarity and helps you live from your highest truth. So what is the inner essence activation framework? So the first part of what we do is we actually access and anchor powerful embodied memories. And we generalize the energies of those. We actually use a hypnotic regression technique to spiral us into and chain through powerful positive memories that we then run through a generalization pattern that simultaneously moves the positive energies throughout our entire being, mind, body, soul, spirit, entire nervous system, and also concentrates and condenses those energies into a palpable core. At the same time that we do that, we're also releasing stuck, stagnant energies and programming a pattern and magnetizing your strengths back into coherence. And from that place, we actually rebuild your concept of identity in line with your true essence so you can live with authenticity and alignment. And that's really the core process. In the Inner Essence Activation Program, we actually go through and start talking about the skills that you need to live as an open, aware, sensitive, neurodivergent individual. So why does Inner Essence Activation work when nothing else has? We start with what's already good and we build it better. It is designed for the deeply feeling, the ultra-sensitive, neurodivergent nervous system. It uses deeply embodied memory with advanced techniques and concepts drawn from multiple disciplines to create lasting, permanent transformation and change. It anchors transformation at every level of your being, whatever you believe that to be. And it reorganizes your identity around your core, not your masks. And it integrates body, mind, and spirit into one powerful, coherent fulcrum of self. So today I promised you would understand why you feel disconnected even after doing everything right. Why most healing tools don't work for sensitive or neurodivergent nervous systems. how traditional approaches have missed the mark, and what to do instead, and the 5 steps to reconnect you with your purpose and inner clarity. And I hope I've given you a taste of what it feels like to truly feel yourself without fear, without collapse, without self-erasure. So what if this is the beginning of your return to self? Inner Essence Activation isn't a course. It's a transformational journey to the center of who and what you are in a group container. You go so far, so fast, and change so much that you need to be with other people that are experiencing what you're experiencing or have experienced it, because there's not really a language or a context for this kind of work, even though pretty much every neurodivergent that I know deeply, deeply, deeply craves it. So because this does involve a lot of work at the other than conscious level, everybody that comes into the program, there is a private discovery call to make sure that everything is a good fit, that you are ready for transformation, that we're compatible, that you have the resources to be able to do this. So in this discovery call, you will get personalized insight into your nervous system, into how it's working, and recommendations for the next best step that suits you. Even if we are not a good fit, even if we're not going to move forward, we'll help you come up with a direction that helps you. So if it's a yes, we'll travel this road together. And if not, you will still walk away with some degree of clarity and a direction to move forward to have the life that you want to live by your standards and your definitions. So are you ready to honor your energy with a meaningful next step? And I want you to click the button below, click it right now, and complete a short application. There's a small monetary commitment to reserve your spot for a discovery call. And that's just to make sure that you are serious about transformation. Choose any time that is mutually convenient, that works for your body, your rhythm, your schedule. I do want you to know that we don't reschedule no-shows. In order to honor your time and ours, if life gets in the way, please let us know, even if it's just a few minutes before the appointment. We will reschedule, but if you don't show up for your appointment, then it just wasn't meant for us to work together. I am super excited to hear from you, and I love these discovery calls, and I love working with people. So are you ready to connect with your center? Are you ready to have clarity, capacity, and connection? And I want you to know that all of this is closer than you think, and you may not know it now, but after we work together, you will realize how amazing, wonderful, bright, and brilliant you are deep inside. So book your discovery call at go.connectioncraft.org.